Good morning, everyone, and also good afternoon to those who are across the pond. We're going to be sculpting some ice gnomes today. It's a little different than like what you might be imagining, like cute little ice gnomes. Think more monstrosity, and that is because I don't know what else to call this. The requester, I'll share their description in just a moment, but I'm going to run through here and make sure I say good morning to all of y'all. I see Michael's here, Pan Dragon, Oliver, and Deaths is here. Thank you guys so much for being here so quickly. It's cool to have like a little welcome posse right at the beginning of the stream. I feel very spoiled to have you guys here right away. All right, let's jump right into it. So there's two different things on this stream. One, I have a timer on the screen up here, and that's just for me to remember to take breaks because I did a 4.5 hour stream yesterday and I took like 1 2-minute break. So I'm gonna do better than that. And then also so I can have a bit of a check mark for when I'm going to run through my different main phases. So whenever this timer runs out, I'm going to reassess my progress, whatever phase I'm in, because I'm going to finish this model start to finish today, which is normal, but I'd like it to be a little more structured because I want to be able to do this for the long run and not burn out. So that's my plan. All right. Oh, Pat's here. Good morning. All right, let's go ahead and check out what this request is today. So this is a Patreon request. Everything that I sculpt on stream is designed to be 3D printed. And I got all kinds of nice stuff off screen of 3D prints I've done in the past. What's cool about these models, you can scale them up or make them small. It's the exact same file. I sculpt them pretty detailed and I really carve those details in so they look good, big or small. All right, and Michael says, yes, please do not burn out. Right, I want to be in this for the long haul, so yeah. A reminder, if you guys are having a good time, sounds like you guys are already subscribed. If not, like and subscribe, it really does help the stream. All right, let's move on. So today's request is from Restless Adventurer, and he would specifically like a creature that has wide white teeth showing between their grinning lips, which almost join ear to ear between swinish ears. Thick dwarvish body clad in a black hairy jerkin, which is like a leather shirt pretty much, and then thick nailed with bare splayed feet. So that's what we're working with. It kind of sounds ice gnomish. That's what it's called, that's what he said. But it's definitely pushing that a little bit. So I'm probably gonna call this an ice gnome monstrosity. I'm definitely not gonna put this character in my character catalog on Patreon. This will go into the bestiary. So yeah, I have my initial stamp of the base mesh already on here. I did a little bit of poly painting before the stream start, and that just means coloring the model. So I also grabbed some pieces from my asset library like usual. So these are the pieces that have been pre-made. I've used these on other characters. I guess the fist doesn't really count because all models have hands, but the others were created for other models. Yeah, Michael says, dang, creepy. Yeah, exactly. So it's a ice gnome. You guys are so sweet. Like I remind you to like and subscribe, and like, it makes me cringe a little bit, but you guys all did, and it does help. Anyway, thank you. All right, so my goal right now is to bulk up this body and start detailing the face a bit to get a better direction for this model. And I'm gonna give myself 30 minutes to do that. Again, it's not a hard set timer. I'm not sitting here rushing. It's just purely like a time marker for me. So let's go ahead and get started. Alrighty. So first things first, this guy is way too slender. We need to bulk him up. So I'm gonna lower the subdivision level, which just means working in a lower poly count. And I'm gonna grab my mask lasso brush. To make these arms a bit thicker, I'm actually gonna just mask the underside. It's kind of a quick and dirty way to do this. And then also mask the top. I'm like loosely tracing the muscle structure here. And then making sure to smooth and taper for the wrist. There we go. We're gonna make his neck even wider and bring up those shoulder muscles. There we are. His legs are really skinny right now, so we're gonna bulk those up too. I have these like little modesty shorts on here. I don't think we actually need them. YouTube has not been as concerned about the not really nudity, thank goodness. I wasn't sure how that was gonna go. All platforms that you stream on are a little bit different, so. All right, and then we're gonna make his hands and feet significantly larger. We're actually gonna be doing a bit of resculpting on these feet, but I'll do that later. All right, let's make them much bigger. Again, think monster gnome more than just normal gnome. All right, there we go. He's looking more bulked up. His legs are much too long, so we're gonna go ahead and mask that and shrink it up. It's gonna be a really stout fellow. Make his hands larger. So the week is almost over. Hope you guys have been having a good week. Mine's been pretty quiet. Weather's really starting to change out here. It's been raining for the last 2 days or so. It's been really nice. It's fall, you know, so all the colors are changing and it's just beautiful. And I know, like, I'm sure you guys are like, yeah, I know what fall looks like. I honestly don't, because I grew up in California in the valley and the trees change in like a day. I'm not kidding. It's like fall is like this 2-week period that comes and goes really quickly. So now that I live in Tennessee, it's just fall is still happening. It's so cool. Like, it's just been an absolute treat. So I'm really enjoying that. Also, when I lived in California, I boarded my horse because I didn't own any land, but now I live on about an acre, you know, nothing huge, but enough to have a horse on my own property. And he's just been loving it out here. He's been having a really good time, and he likes fall quite a bit too. It's cold enough so that all the flies are dying off, but not so cold that he's shivering or anything like that. All right. His feet are so funny. Again, we're gonna do some resculpting on the feet later. All right, so we've already stouted him up quite a bit. I think I need to go even further though, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm gonna go ahead and just mask the arm, being careful to select the entire deltoid muscle, which is just the muscle that sits right here, this top one. I'm gonna give him even larger arms. There we go. But I don't want to mess with the proportions too much, so to do that, I'm also gonna go in with a transpose line and make them shorter. We just want them to be bulkier. There we are. Gonna make his traps even larger, and we're gonna move his pectoral muscles up and make his lats bigger. There we go. And we're not gonna do anything with this funny little gnome butt because I'm gonna give him shorts anyway. Some models have to pay more attention to that because it shows a little bit, but not in this case. All right, looking good. I'm gonna make him even more stout here, and I really think he would benefit from a belly. So let's go ahead and do that. I don't want him to have such a sharp face, but I'm going to cover a lot of his face with this big, luscious beard and mustache. So I'll start sculpting on the face more once I see how much is actually going to be visible. All right, let's go ahead and add some shorts. I think. Let me think if this is still stout enough, because once I start covering him in clothes, it'll be a little more difficult to adjust the base mesh. Not impossible, but I really just want to make sure he's stout enough. And make his neck a bit thicker. And move his collarbones up. All right, I'm happy with that. Let's go ahead and throw some brand new shorts on. I really like the belly I gave him here. All right. Excellent. I think he's actually going to end up with pants. We'll see. I'm going to be adding a lot of pieces to this model and fur trim and all kinds of stuff. So for now, I know he needs shorts, so we'll start with that. To do that, I just did mask lasso and then some remeshing. I'm remeshing with half turned on, so that's going to lower my poly count and give me something cleaner to work with. Doesn't need to fit him perfectly, but there we are. All right, looking good. Again, this is definitely a trust the process kind of moment. It'll all come together. This is the beginning of picking a color palette here. It's going to be dark and wintry. All right, he's looking very handsome. You guys are all talking about fall, having a good time. And then the Painted Dragon says, Beard, the dwarf purist in me is making an entry in the Book of Grudges. This is not a dwarf and or a gnome. He's like a monster. The guy that requested him calls it an ice gnome, but it's actually like a bit of lore that's taken from this book that he has, and that I'm making physical representations of him. So again, this isn't even going to go into my character catalog under dwarf or gnome. This is going to go into my bestiary. So just keep that in mind. Also, why can't dwarves have beards? Depends on the lore, I mean, honestly. Michael says, I love fall. I live in New Hampshire, and the colors are absolutely stunning. Oh, I believe that. That sounds great. And then Pat says, where I live, the flies refuse to die. Yeah, it can take a hot minute. All right, let's get this big old beard on here. But I also want his mouth to be open and teeth to be showing, so we're gonna have a lot to balance on the face here. It looks so baby face. I'm going to need to bulk up that face a lot, the nose, and then creases and all kinds of good stuff. And then Painted Dragon elaborates. He says, exactly, only dwarves have such beards. There'll be a lot of grumbling in the dwarven realms. Only dwarves? Ah, I see. I mean, there's other monsters I've made that have beards. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I guess that's just a dwarf thing. Yeah, gnomes are usually completely just bare. But again, he's Ice Gnome Monstrosity. I just didn't put Monstrosity in the title of the stream because I thought it was a bit too long. Alright, so we're going to start kind of taking any of these pieces from my asset library and throwing them on here, and we're slowly getting a vision of what this is going to look like. I think I want these to go on his ankles, actually. He's not going to have shoes that like properly cover his feet. His feet look so silly right now. But there is still going to be a lot of structuring and like foot coverings, if you will. It's also going to have like these nice big fur shoulder pauldrons as well. Michael says, I printed my first model last night. Ooh. My wife chose her first print to be the poop emoji. Classic. Painted Dragon continues and says, maybe it is a dwarf beard that he has removed and wears as a trophy. Ooh, that's gross. I like that. And he is like a monster, and he's gonna have these big old gnashy teeth, so I like that. I like that a lot. You guys always have such creative ideas. I love that you share them with me too. Throwing some basic poly paint on here as we go. Again, just the whole vision of the model is going to slowly come together I always like to adjust the base mesh first, which is the body usually, but if it's a monster, it'd be proportions and getting all my primitive shapes down. And then after that, I throw on whatever pieces in my asset library that will help. Sometimes I'll resculpt some pieces if I find that they're more of just a placeholder than adding to the model. Like this lower belt here, he's so short that this belt's gonna have a hard time fitting on him. So perhaps, yeah, that's gonna be a placeholder. We're definitely gonna resculpt that belt later. And then we'll put some more of these straps on him. And then we're gonna be adding some fur wrappings to these leather binds as well. He already has a lot of natural insulation, but I still want, here we go, this icy cold look to come through. Oh, another reason I have the timer up here is because I've been going off of how long the stream has been going, and that doesn't work great because there's like a 10-minute warm-up period where I just have the stream running in the background. And I'm not even sculpting, so my estimates have been a little off in my own head. This will help me keep track of how much time I've actually been working. Alright, this is this helm I made for this like dragon turtle warrior. We're not going to be using it as is, but it'll be similar. We're going to take off the dragon scales. I'm able to do that because everything I put in my asset library is usually pretty low poly like this and nicely constructed, or it's supposed to be. Again, I've been using my asset library for a few years now, so in the beginning I wasn't as good at making nice meshes to reuse. But yeah, what's nice about this, I can go through like with my ZBrush and I can really quickly add more geometry. Just like that. He's got the babyest face. Oh my goodness. We'll be fixing that. I don't think this bottom part of the helmet's really doing him any favors. I think just the top will be fine. It needs help. But we're just finding our shapes and silhouettes still. His pose is going to be kind of just like a broad stance as opposed to like an action running pose. But I know I'm going to have his hands and fists, just give him a tougher, more brute-like look. So if you're new to the stream, this is where the infamous tiny hands moment happens. This is like a quick and dirty thing that I do just because I don't feel like reconstructing subdivision levels. You totally can, but what I do, and this is total heathen behavior, is I just make the hands tiny. Squish. So we have tiny hands. I know. I didn't realize how silly this was until I started live streaming and you guys started making fun of me and pointing it out, and I was like, this is ridiculous. And no, I will not change. There we go. We have tiny hands. And then I go ahead and I put the actual hand that I want on top of it, and this makes it so I don't have to re-sculpt brand new hands every single time. I was able to just pose a bunch of them and I can quickly sub them in. It's odd, I know. So I designed for 3D printing, and at the end, anything that overlaps, like the tiny hands, get remeshed into nothingness, so it's fine. Efficient, I dare say. There we go, just carefully positioning my new hands. I usually don't do this until I pose, but in this case, it's actually going to affect the silhouette in the model quite a bit. So I want to get these in sooner than later. Also want to make sure I get these hands large enough because I want him to have these big, brutish hands too. I feel like these straps need to tuck in between his hands actually. Or his fingers, not his hands. Though there is another set of hands in there. Tiny hands. Very nice. And now he has this. Just like that. And that is the tiny hands. Pan Dragon says, tiny hands for the win. Michael says, the tiny hands make me think of Scary Movie 2, the butler with the, this is my strong hand scene. Classic. Oh, fantastic. Pet says, fave moment of the stream. I'm so glad. Then Michael also asks, your asset library is from all your past builds, or is there a place I can get a library to get me started? Oh yeah, my asset library is stuff I've made. If I ever use stuff on stream that I did not create, I always want to let you guys know so I can give that artist credit. Because I have bought tools, like, for example, the fur that I used to create this mesh, like each chunk is a pre-made brush. But yeah, I'll always let you guys know. Oh, ZBrush is doing a speed sculpt too. Don't do that, ZBrush. You'll get overwhelmed and then crash on me. Not on stream. Go away. Already recording. Delete. Yes. Okay. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend... Okay. So Michael, it really depends if you're trying to learn how to sculpt or if you're just kit bashing. If you're just kit bashing, I totally recommend, I'm sure there's somewhere online you can find like some asset libraries to throw stuff together. But if you want to learn how to sculpt, I really don't recommend just taking assets and throwing them together. I recommend just learning your fundamentals and really just taking the basics first and how to construct things and just doing it yourself. I really, really recommend that. I make it a rule for all my students too that if you're gonna buy brushes, like for example, I have this cuts and scars brushes, so it's full of like boils and scars and tears and stitches. And I like to use that because I can very quickly click and drag and it will appear this mesh very quickly. So for example, it's a chisel 3D brush, so like right now, I can like put ears on his stomach very quickly, right? Lots of ears. However, if you don't know how to actually sculpt that on your own, you're gonna have a very hard time blending it into your model. Your model's gonna look, you know, kit bash or like kind of thrown together. So it's fine to have pre-bought brushes where you have stuff that's blocked out for you, but you really need to know how to sculpt it still, otherwise you're not gonna be able to utilize it completely. Pat says, Saturday, or what you wanted, or say what you want about the tiny hands trick, but for me, I found it very illustrative about the process. In my head, everything on ZBrush must be millimetric and clean. Oh yeah, it kind of helps loosen you up a little bit, right? Yeah, if I can give you permission to break rules, there's your permission. Pat said that Mia kicks in, shows me how wrong I was. Yeah, loosen up, have fun with it. Voxel's here, hello, welcome back. Very demure. Cutesy. And Michael says, I gotta learn ZBrush. So far, all I know is Maya and ZBrush is crazy complicated. Michael, do you know that I teach? Because I would really like to just directly help you. I have a mentorship program. I have it pinned at the top of the chat, and I also have a link in the description. It's that Patreon M3DM Learn. So M3DM, that's me. It's short for Mia's 3D Models. My name's Mia. But yeah, I would love to teach you. It's $1 a day. And I roll right from the beginning as if you've never started the program before. And I really think it would help you a lot. Because ZBrush is let's be real, ZBrush is a pain in the ass. Those that have used it for years, like Paint a Dragon and myself and Voxel. Voxel, I think you actually use all kinds of stuff because you mentioned you do a lot of hard surface. It's a pain. You learn to love it. Pat says, great teacher. Thank you so much. Yeah, Pat's one of my students, and Pat, you haven't even got to the good stuff yet. I still have you just learning how to navigate. I think you've done one brush assignment and a couple quick mock-ups, but it gets even better. I'm glad you're already having a good time. Okay, we have 9 minutes left on my timer. I give myself 30 minutes to loosely block in some shapes here, and I was able to do that. But let's go ahead and attack this final 9 minutes here and make it a productive time. All right, I also want to give him like a leather, wow, he looks horrifying. Okay, a leather jerkin. So I'm going to give him a nice little vest, but I don't want to cover up these big bulging muscles I'm going to give him. So he's going to have a cute little vest to go over his nice belly. There we are. Gonna go with mask pen to clean up my edges just a touch. Look at his tiny hands. Oh, this is horrifying. This would be a great moment for a new person to jump in the street and be like, oh, no thanks, not interested in that. If this is your first time hanging out in one of my streams, you're in for a treat. There's a lot that's gonna happen here, and it gets better. All right, we have that jerkin kind of blocked out, and then we really need to start adding in these fur trim pieces. So there's a couple ways that I can do that. I largely like to use my curved toothbrush. And Pat named Princess, lol, I was wondering about the hands. Yes, it was the cursed tiny hands moment. And yeah, hello, by the way. It's always good to see you. Michael says, Prince, I have to use Maya right now because of what we're learning at university. Oh, that's right. But I plan on learning ZBrush ASAP on my own time. We are animation for the next few months. Very cool, very cool. Yeah, if you have a university resources to learn from, obviously take advantage of that first. All right, so I'm gonna add these fur trim pieces here. So I'm gonna duplicate the base mesh, and then I'm removing subdiv so I can go in and very quickly add these pieces. So when you're using a curve brush, if you hold down shift, it will wrap around automatically, just like that. Sometimes, you know, it works better than others, but for the most part, it does a pretty good job. There we go. That's already making for a much more interesting silhouette. I still don't know what I'm gonna do with these little shorts he has. Then we're gonna add the same kind of treatment to his arms. And to make this more clear, we're actually gonna shorten up these leather bracers we have. They're kind of deforming in a way that I don't want them to, so let's do this a little more carefully. We're gonna mask around his hands, front end with the transpose line, and just, there we go, scoot that down. Very nice. And there's our lovely tiny hands. Throwing in some more of these fur trim pieces. They make me laugh every single time that I see them. There we go, getting a much more wintry look here. Let's go ahead and grab all of these little fur trim pieces that I have and merge them all down. So now I'm just putting them in the same subtool. It's a little easier for me to keep track of them. It keeps things tidy. I absolutely could put them in a folder, but I just don't use folders. I don't have a good reason for it. I just don't. I'm trying to grab these trim pieces. There we are. I can go ahead and delete this body I have here that doesn't have any subdiv on it. There we go. Lovely. Let me go ahead and scroll up here because it's been a moment and I've kind of neglected the chat. Oh good, it's been pretty quiet. All right. Patnade says, I love animating. I'm either going to get Maya again or learn Blender, which terrifies me. Yeah, Blender is intimidating as well, but there's a ton of tutorials and at the end of the day, it's free. Maya, on the other hand, is very expensive, so yeah. Michael says, so far I am loving animation. So far. Yeah, don't jinx it, but keep enjoying it. That's great. I think this belt's actually gonna work out in the long run. First, I wasn't sure if it was gonna suit this mesh. Might need to make something from scratch, but it looks like it's actually gonna fit him better than I expected. All right, very nice. I want to add in more asymmetric details as we go, but this isn't a bad start. All right, we have quite a few pieces blocked in here and we only have 2 minutes left. I'm very happy with how this is going. Oh, Taylor's here. Hello. Maybe some bearskin on the helmet. I agree. And then Michael says, no, I'm looking good, Mia. Thank you. Again, he is calling him an ice gnome, so that's what the requester asked for. But I see we have about 15 people here. So if any of you guys missed the beginning of this, here's the description from the requester on Patreon, what they're asking for. They asked for a ice gnome, but more of a monstrous side. They want him to have wide white teeth showing between their grinning lips, which almost join ear to ear between swinish ears. Thick dwarvish body, clad in a black jerkin, and then thick nailed splayed feet. So yeah, there we are. I'm actually gonna make this jerkin darker since I remembered that. Again, the way that I poly paint doesn't actually affect the resulting model, but it just makes the stream a bit more enjoyable. I really like the idea of having a skin or some sort of hide added to his helmet. I'm gonna keep that in mind. Couple things here. This isn't in symmetry right now, so let's go ahead and make this symmetrical. There we are. I want to play with the shape on this helmet a lot, but before I do that, I really need to get this face in order because he's just got this cute little baby face under here, doesn't he? And then Michael said, just became a member of M3DM Learn. So excited to learn ZBrush. Oh, I'm so excited. I thought you were gonna wait to do it in university, but I would just love to be a jump start to that journey. Thank you so much for joining and becoming a student. Man, I was gonna make a button on my stream deck so I can like cover the screen in confetti, but I didn't do that last night. So just imagine confetti. It's happening. I don't know what hand motion is confetti, but I'm so excited to teach you. Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for trusting me, you know? I really, really enjoy teaching and I'll be able to give you a pretty big head start as well. So, kick ass. I love getting new students. It's so exciting. If anyone else has questions, like teach what, I teach people how to use ZBrush, whether you're a brand new beginner, or let's say that you're a little more versed in 3D. Either way, most of my students are brand new. I teach you guys how to make your own characters, creatures, scatter terrain. I've even had a few students that are cosplayers and they do masks and stuff. And it's just a really good time. I specifically specialize in 3D printing, but you don't have to 3D print your stuff. That's just what I specialize in. That's the end game of it. Also, 3D printing is super cool. So if you have any questions about that, I'm happy to help there as well. All right, this is going really well. Try and clean up a little funny artifact on the end of his ear here. So after this stream, Michael, I'll be sending you your welcome message to get started with the mentorship program. I have quite a few videos you can dig into and kind of look through yourself, but I'll be guiding you every step of the way as well. Michael says, thank you, pet. Nah, can't wait, Mia. That sounds good. Pain Dragon says, I have no idea why, but I thought you were making an ice goblin. That's why I was saying about the beard. My apologies about the entry in the Dwarven Book of Grudges has been removed. Oh, good. I'm glad. I felt like I was on the naughty list for a second, and I'm like, oh no. You wouldn't be wrong. I even have my base mesh for the body is even called Male Gobbo. This is my goblin base mesh, so you're not entirely wrong there. But yeah, it's not a goblin. I just started with a goblin base mesh. Okay, so the first 30 minutes has passed here, and in that time we have gone from this stamp on the left, and now we are here. So we've made a lot of good progress, but there's still a lot of critical things about this mesh that need to change. So in the next 30 minutes of the live stream, I'm going to be detailing the face entirely, as well as maybe bulking up some muscles. I'm going to be pretty much ignoring all of these assets I've kind of tacked on here right now. I really need to get this face believable and crunchy and creasy, all that good stuff. What's challenging here is I don't have a whole lot of real estate to work with. He's got, you know, smushed features, a big old helmet, and a big old beard. So I'm gonna get creative with this to make sure I can show all these teeth and get a lot of interesting folds on his face while still being readable and interesting. And then most importantly, 3D printable, because all the models I do here are 3D printable and I share them back on my main Patreon. So yeah. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. If there's anyone new kind of lurking, I'd love if you guys subscribe so you're part of the family. You can hang out in the future too. My stream's very consistent though. I stream Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern time, and I've been doing that full time for just a couple weeks now, but haven't missed a day yet, so that always feels good. All right, I'm gonna take a brief little break here, about 2 minutes, drink some water, stretch, and then I come right back. So yeah, I'll see you guys in like literally 2 minutes. And yes, Pat, I'm gonna take your idea, and my husband's making me a second coffee right now, which I absolutely do not need. It is almost noon here, but it just sounds really nice. It's rainy outside. It's very cozy. It's a good time. All right, and yeah, I really like, oh, Royce is here, first off. Hello, welcome, good morning. Always good to see you. Pan Dragon has a really good tip here, which is the eyebrows need to be coming out from under the helmet. Definitely evil and pointy. And you saying that is so helpful. That's really gonna get that facial silhouette that I need. So yeah, we're gonna spend some time getting those eyebrows really big and exaggerated. And then yeah, that is just singing the praises of coffee. If you're lurking and you haven't already, I really appreciate if you like the live stream. It spreads my live stream goodness all over YouTube so everyone can see my lovely ice gnome. All right, let's keep rolling. We're gonna set a new timer for 30 minutes and let's set a new goal. All right, so in this 30 minutes, I'd be happy if I just got a really killer face. So let's go do that. First thing I'm gonna do is actually push the helmet up a touch. I'm gonna bring the beard down a touch. I wanna give myself as much real estate as possible to make this happen. Also gonna split the beard into different pieces. There we are. So now the mustache is separate from, why aren't you splitting? Ah. Now the mustache will be separate from the beard. And I want his mouth to be open as well. So I should probably start there. All right, we're gonna squeeze that mustache up. All right, and now let's hide everything. Let's open up that mouth. We're gonna go to a low subdiv. Gonna go from the side view here and grab Move Topological. Mask the top here so I'm not distorting the geometry too much. We're just gonna kind of wiggle the mouth open. There we go. Beautiful. Now that I've kind of wiggled the mouth open a touch, I can go ahead and grab the entire mouth. It'd be very hard to make an intimidating model with that expression. He just has like the most dopey, like, duh look right now. Okay. I'm actually gonna mask the bottom part of the jaw here, and we're gonna open his mouth by hinging the gizmo at his jaw and just, bam, dropping it straight down. Even better. Now let's pull that lip shape back. It's gonna look cursed. Trust the process. And again, this is where the monster part starts to come in. This is horrifying. Oh my God. Oh yeah, love it. A reminder of the description. My Patreon supporters specifically asked for wide white teeth showing between their grinning lips, which almost goes from ear to swinish ear. So that's what we're doing. Michael says, you got this. Thank you. Pan Dragon says, he's doing blue steel for the camera. Seeing this creepy gaping mouth and teeth really reminds me of Attack on Titan, and I really need to show the rest of that to my husband. Fun fact, I'm a huge Attack on Titan fan. I don't really watch a lot of anime, but I really liked that one. And I almost have all of the box sets. I'm just missing the last few books. And I didn't buy them right away because I was moving across the country and the last thing I needed was to buy more freaking books to move across the country with. Oh, isn't he just so cute? Also, this is not how you pose a mouth if you're not doing a monster. Like, this is just fine for this because I want that distorted look. But when you're making a smile on a human, you should be a lot more careful and subtle in your movements. Yeah, why so serious? He's just a friendly guy. I told you guys this is a festive model, right? I think this is kid friendly. He's happy. All right, let's go ahead and tuck that bottom lip up. Fun and games is over. It's time to now make this actually look like something. We don't want his nose to be much, much larger than it already is. Hi, honey.
Hello.
Husband is here to give me coffee and
Delivery.
look at my model. Look at him.
That's
You have no words.
creepy.
Yeah. I could see you were like going to say something nice and encouraging. And you're like, oh God. It's okay. Oh, that's worse. That's somehow worse having eyes. Trust the process.
Awesome.
It is. No, it's going to be great. Pat says, it's like that movie, what was the name again? Smile. Oh, God, I know. So, one of my housemates was having a really bad weekend, but she loves horror movies. And I was like, oh, pick a horror movie. And she picked Smile. And I'm still afraid of going in the hallway at night. I handle horror movies really poorly. It's been months, and Anyway. Taylor says, what's the timer for? It's just for me to keep, loose goal setting. So in this next 30 minutes, I want to focus on just the face. It's really to declutter my own brain. Because on live stream, sometimes I get a little distracted by talking to you guys. And I'm just thinking, finish the entire remodel all the time. And it's bogging down my brain processes. So by putting a little bit more focus on what I'm working on, having the timer helps me a lot. If I don't reach my goal at the end of the timer, that's totally fine. I just reassess. Thank you guys for saying hi to husband. His name's Ricky. He's part of the business. Oliver says, the unholy child of the Cheshire Cat with the Titan. Yeah. And Voxel says, at least y'all didn't watch Terrifier. Yeah, I probably wouldn't handle that well at all. Again, I don't handle horror movies well at all. There was a couple of movies I watched as a kid that were not horror movies apparently, but I thought they were. Like Shaun of the Dead. It's a comedy about zombies. That scared the crap out of me. I was also 10. And then Mars Attacks. Oh God. Yeah. Stellar parenting father of mine. He was like, yeah, these aren't scary. You're fine. Again, he wasn't showing them to me. The movies were just on and I just kind of lingered and watched. But then I was too afraid to go back to my room. So I watched the entire movie. Anyway. Alright, so we're detailing these teeth just a touch, just to get the overall shapes going. There we go. Alright, I'm pretty happy with that. Let's define these nasolabial folds a little better. I'm going to do that with a damp sander brush and Lazy Mouse. Alrighty. I see we have some new viewers that are coming in. Hello and welcome. If you have any questions, just let me know. All right, now we got the beard back on, and let's fit this. So we're not covering up that lovely mouth. Oh, awesome. Yeah, this is gonna look great. He's just like one of Santa's helpers, yeah? That's what I was thinking. One thing I've been really proud of is the diversity I've had on my stream as far as characters and creatures go. So I've sculpted this, I've sculpted pretty things. The mantis shrimp was a highlight. That was odd even for me. All right, let's grab this braid on his beard and tuck it up to his chin where it would actually originate. Again, we're not in the final touches stage. We're still finding our shapes. But I want to get things to their 80% mark. All right, I am really happy with that. The worst. Very good. All right, now let's give these eyebrows the same treatment. Gonna make the eyebrows much larger. Just gonna go with the gizmo and simply make them larger. And now let's start shaping. We're gonna put them lower on the brow. Oh, you know what else we're going to do? We're gonna save. I have not saved since I started. Ice, gnome, monstrosity. I will also be doing 2 poses for this model, but maybe not today. I'll be doing at least 1 pose and sharing that 3D printable model with you guys for free at the end of the stream. If I need to remesh this to get more shapes and detail, and I will, but honestly it's only at 5,000 points, but I think it's already going to be enough for me to get these secondary forms in. Lovely, yeah? Oh, and pets are doing the at thing, which is talking about the horror movie I mentioned earlier, which is not a horror movie, Mars Attack. Yeah, that scared the crap out of me. Ugh. Taylor says, maybe you could have a beard like Blackbeard, but instead of it lit on fire at the tips, it's icicles. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's awesome. I love that. I love that idea so much. Alrighty, let's go ahead and do that. Gonna throw in a cube. We're gonna put it that's slightly bluish, and then we can go up here and start crushing down some shapes. But first, we're gonna Dynamesh this with polish turned on. There we go. And let's make some icicles really quick. Haven't done an icicle in a hot minute, but I made a bunch of them. I did my Frostbite Valley project. So right now I'm just crushing these sides down by holding down Control and dragging on the gizmo. Also go in with taper. Give more of that icicle shape. I'm mostly just looking to have some harsh, clear planes here, and I can go in and bulk those up with polish. All right, we're gonna quickly throw in some of these icicles. And to position them quickly, I'm actually gonna use the move brush at a very high Z intensity, so that will prevent the mesh from deforming, because I'm actually just trying to move them. I'm not trying to bend them in any way. To make this look best, there should be 2 layers of crystals, or icicles. You'll notice I'm only doing one side. That's because I'm going to utilize the mirror and weld function to do the other side for me. There's also a lot left to go in this model, so I'm going to be adjusting these icicles as I go to better complement the silhouette. There's a lot of information I just don't have yet, so we're working with what we got. Just steadily making progress. Pretty cool. Thank you, Taylor. Always do your centers details out of symmetry. It just makes it look much less chunky. God, that coffee my husband made me smells so good. I haven't even had any yet because our coffee maker is extremely hot. And I know, like, that's normal. Coffee's hot. No. Our coffee maker is, like, ungodly hot. I'm gonna go with poly paint and back face mask and put some highlights on these icicles really quick. Gonna add some depth to them. There we go. Got some really quick icicles. Back to his lovely face. Pat says he looks way more friendly with the beard. Oh, absolutely, which I'm glad. He shouldn't just look absolutely horrifying. Like a barbarian Santa or something. I like that. He's just like a little helper, you know? All right, let's start adding in these creases on his face. Thank you guys for tuning in. This has been a really good time already. I love live streaming, and you guys are a big reason why. I just always have a lot of cool stuff to share, and I appreciate your guys' support and just good vibes all the way around. All right, so to do this, we are going to find some more clear shapes on our focal points. So the big areas here will be his eyes, his cheekbones, and his nose. So to find these forms, I'll be using the standard brush and the damp standard brush. Damp standard is creases, and standard adds like tubes of clay. Michael says, well, we appreciate you too. I'm glad. Just kind of a good time all the way around, yeah? For all my lurkers, I'm really happy you guys are here too. If you have questions, don't hesitate to ask. I'm an open book. I'm a big proponent of sharing different like art techniques and how I'm doing things. I just think it makes everyone better off for it. And give him some pretty severe cheekbones here that are gonna give a nice sharp silhouette on the side. I just have to make sure I don't go too far to where it's gonna look. Your monsters still have to follow some basic rules. You can push some forms, that's fine, but you don't want to just go in and clutter up your face with a bunch of details that don't make any sense. Adding this little hollowness behind the eye is going to really help make him look creepy. I'm going to add a stronger crease on his bottom eyelid as well. And do the same treatment for his upper eyelid. Right there, I'm using damp standard and holding down Alt to achieve that. So if you hold down Alt in ZBrush, you're going to invert the function of whatever brush you have. So if the brush normally adds material, it'll take it away instead. It's really starting to come together. Excuse me. Osai's here. Hello, welcome. Oh yeah, looking good. Had a little influx of viewers here. Just a recap. Hi, my name is Mia. I'm making a 3D printable model today. It's going to be an ice gnome was the prompt. Everything I sculpt on stream is actually requested from someone that supports me on Patreon. And they wanted an ice gnome, but it's not your typical ice gnome. It's not Santa elf style, it's more creepy monster. I'm just calling it an ice gnome for easy classification when I put it up on my vault. I have almost 1,000 models that I've sculpted over the years, and I have him in this big collection that I share with people. And he needs to be searchable. And I just can't call him angry ice man dwarf goblin, so ice gnome monstrosity is what I'm gonna be calling this. Oh, the coffee is good today. All right, we got a good amount of time left on our timer. Our goal for this last 30-minute section here was to get the face detailed. We're about most of the way done, and I have 10 minutes left, so we're looking pretty good on time. And the stream can go for as long as I want. I just like it to be somewhat organized. It helps me to have these like markers and landmarks that I hit as we go through it. Otherwise, I lose track of time and I just talk to you guys the whole time, because you guys always bring up interesting things. So yeah, if you could be less engaging and interesting, that'd be great. But on a real note, like always, been a lovely stream. Thank you guys for being here. If you like what you see, like the stream. It really does help get more people to see my art, and that means I can do this for longer. So, win-win. Oh, and if you have subscribed and it does that cool little animation under my little web camera, sorry if I didn't see it. Thank you, though, if you did. I know at least every stream I get a few people that subscribe, and I miss it about half the time because I'm not looking at my own stream. Alrighty, let's continue. Sai says, yay for timer. Burnout is no good for you or us. Yeah, exactly. So I mentioned that earlier in the stream, that's like a burnout prevention, and you caught on exactly what I was talking about. Again, I've been doing this for 5 years full time, so you guys don't have to worry about me not being able to manage my time well. I'm very proud to brag about my healthy work habits, legitimately. I'm very anti-grind and hustle. It's just not sustainable. That being said, I can work really quickly and get a lot done, but that took years of finding good work balance, and taking good breaks is just as important as pushing yourself. In the beginning, I'm like, that sounds like what a lazy person would say. It's not true at all. I was definitely like a work now kind of person, think about it later. And that does not work in the creative field. You're gonna burn right on out. Yeah, my students, so I also teach people how to use ZBrush and sculpt their own characters and creatures. And without fail, my students that work really, really hard and maybe are really talented, but they're always pushing, they always burn out. And it's usually my students that are less talented that stick with the longest and get the best results. Because again, it's literally the tortoise and the hare kind of story of slow and steady is the way to go. It's really that consistency and not pushing yourself too hard. Just a little bit every day is what you want to do. I still have a hard time with that. I like to work hard, you know? It doesn't help anybody if you burn out. So right now I'm having a lot of fun with these eyebrows. I'm just making them ridiculous. Think it's very World of Warcrafty. There's no rules on these eyebrows. Just more and bigger. Excellent. That was a suggestion from Painted Dragon in the chat, and it was a great one. I love this little subtle divot that's behind his eyes here that lets his cheekbones really poke out. So right now I'm kind of pushing his face around with the move brush, and I'm just looking to see if I find a form that I like more or less. All right, let's make the teeth a little more asymmetrical. It's always a nice detail to add. To do this, I'm going in with the Move Topological brush, so it'll grab meshes within the same subtool without me having to mask. Let's make a few of these teeth a little more crooked, some small ones, some big ones. There we go. Excellent. The ears need a little bit more attention. There we are. Beautiful. Patent size, missing teeth would give it an interesting touch as well. I agree. Let's do... His mouth is still large, like small compared to the rest of his face, or his body, so hiding a tooth isn't giving the transparency that I want it to have. But what I can do is I can chip a tooth and have a very similar effect. I like it. Excellent. Much more interesting. So this is a good time to kind of talk about some progress here, and we have a minute left on our timer too. So on the far left here is where we started the live stream, and this is all the progress that we've made so far. It's actually looking like a thing. I like it very much. I don't feel the need to take a break after this 30-minute bit, so I'm going to put on another 30 minutes and keep on going. All right, for this next 30-minute section, let's talk about what we're gonna get done. already. All right, pretty happy with what's happening here. My goal for this next 30-minute section is going to be detailing all these little fur trim pieces. I definitely think that's a strong direction where I want the model to go. And then also making so his arms aren't just like these soft, like round tubes, and instead adding some musculature that's visible. So in order to do that, it's going to be using the move brush to detail all those little fur trim pieces, and then using damp standard and clay to build up some musculature in those arms. Pretty happy with it. God, he's so weird looking. It's a good time. We're probably a little overdue to stamp a new point on the screen. I think this is enough progress for sure. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. This will be our second timestamp. Try to figure out where to put him. I usually did my first timestamp a little higher up, and kind of regretting not doing that earlier. There we go. I like it, and I can actually move my timer. Will fit nicely right here. All right, so that's our first chapter of the live stream complete. We've gone from our pure base mesh and really established the direction of the model through block out and just a little bit of detail getting added in here. All right, let's get on to this next 30 minutes. So the way that I detail fur, I'm going to detail all of these fur trim pieces is by using the move brush, and then I have this really lovely fur texturing brush I can add on. But you don't want to put on nice texture on a perfectly smooth mesh, it just doesn't look as nice. So I'm going to use the move brush and holding Option, which will invert the function of the brush, and just start clicking and dragging out some nice poofy shapes. It's important to know that when you're trying to use the move brush in the inverse function like this by holding Option, that's very, very sensitive to what angle your camera is looking at the model. It's going to pull it towards the camera. So if you're trying out this technique and it feels frustrating or odd, just keep at it. You'll get the hang of it. I do it really quickly, and it's often I'll have students that are like watching a live stream of mine, like, oh, cool, I'm gonna do that. And then they're like, what the heck did you do? That doesn't make any sense. Like, I tried it, it didn't work. Keep experimenting, keep rotating your camera around. You're gonna find that sweet spot and you'll be able to do it just as fast as me. All right, check that out. Bam. First step is done. Let's add some subdivision levels to this. And now let's go in with that fur texturing brush I was talking about. I did not sculpt this fur texture brush by myself. I got this on ArtStation or Gumroad. I'd love to tell you the artist's name, but it's not listed in the brush, so I don't recall it. I'm gonna lower the Z intensity and play around to see how I want to add these forms in. What's nice about this brush is I can use it to add even more forms to the shape here. But that being said, I want to be careful not to make it too lumpy looking. It needs to complement what I just put down. Yeah, I think this one's going to work better. In order to get smoother transitions here, I can go with my mask lasso brush and mask the section I just put on. That way I don't get any weird deformations where they overlap. You might get some bending around meshes that curve. Just be leery of that and don't let it stretch across the whole thing. A way to prevent that is to get some, to put a UV map down and then use a noise modifier. That would be another way to do this. That's a pretty good way of putting some blanket texture on, and now I can go through with some more detailed small fur chunks from this brush and kind of put them in areas that need it. And of course I can always go in and do some hand sculpting. Alright, we have some nice fur detail there. Let's do the same up here. Doing the same thing I did last time, which is getting those basic forms down and then coming in with a smaller, more niche brush to add, complement the forms I already have on here. If you want more variety in these brushes that you've purchased, you can always flip them around by going to alpha right here. You can flip horizontal or vertical, so I'll change the orientation of when they lay. If you get any glitching like this, just be careful with it, be aware of it. I like to just smooth it back down. You can always undo it, but I'm not sure specifically when that happens, so I'll just clean it up with the Trim Dynamic brush. There we go. And carefully put in some texture. Almost done. Putting a ring of fur around the bottom side of this, just so it has a nicer blend. There we go. All right, got some nice fur texture on there. I want to push these forms in a little deeper. There's two ways that we can do that. We can just run over it with the damp standard brush, or we can use morph targets. In this case, I'm going to run in with the damp standard brush. I'm doing this so that way these are nice like little paint catchers, so to speak. I'm going to define these fur chunks a little better. So this is what I was talking about earlier, where you can buy pre-made brushes, but don't think it's gonna just upgrade your sculpting skills overnight. It's not going to. If you don't know how to sculpt fur by yourself, and you try to modify this brush after you've blanketed some stuff on, it's just gonna come out getting mushy, and it's not gonna give you the effect that you want. The best thing to do is take the time and make your own brushes. I do that on occasion, but it's not often. I'm thinking about doing it more though, because recently, since I've been streaming, I've gotten a lot more mentorship students, and I'm always looking for ways to improve your guys' experience and teach you more and give you more tools. So one of those would probably be providing you guys brushes. And this would have printed and painted just fine without me doing this, but this is going to just upgrade that painting experience a little bit, which I need the help with. If I can't rely on a wash to do my details when painting minis, it's just not going to come out. My art skills do not translate to paint or a pencil very well, so I like to help myself out. Because before this was a full-time business for me, this was just for me to sculpt stuff that I liked, that I could then 3D print and paint myself. Luckily, these habits also help my patrons too, that also enjoy my work. You'll see I'll come in with the move brush every now and then just to give a better edge to some of these as well. Just like that. And that little piece is actually missing some texture, so we'll go ahead and throw some on. The big thing to know when you're sculpting fur is that it's a layering process. So don't feel like it needs to come out perfect on the first try. Really pay attention to your first layer because it's the most important. And that's really with all sculpting too. You always want to make sure you're really locking in your primary forms, because that's the building blocks of everything else that comes later. If your primary forms suck, the rest of it's going to suck. No amount of detail is going to make a bad base shape look good. It's like, see how I have all these fur chunks are kind of like naturally tapering and flicking? Imagine if they were all like, I don't know, bagel shaped. They look like bagels. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to expect these to be covered in rings. It needs to have that fur tapered look. Another way I could have approached this is doing this damn standard technique I'm doing right now, like kind of like breaking up these fur chunks. I could have done that after using the move brush and pulling on all these little fur chunks. If I did that when I was laying in the fur, I would have masked each of these little chunks that I'm breaking up and put them on like that. If I was doing a big cape piece or something that's large and taking up a lot of space and attention, then I'd give it more attention. All right, there we are. There's a lot of nice forms there for paint to catch, and I'm very happy with it. Very nice. We still got 18 minutes left on the clock, so let's go ahead and detail those muscles. To do that, I'm going to kind of lay out my creases where I know this deltoid muscle is. I'm being pretty rough with it too, and not very subtle, because a lot of this isn't going to show. It's just kind of like finding those landmarks. There's a line on the underside where the bicep goes. Connects here. There's also another line right here between the bicep and the tricep. Not right there though. And that can come over with inflate. Again, these are going to be really subtle paint catchers. But you'll see when I zoom out and have his clothes visible again, it's going to add a lot to the model. I can even go over it with clay to kind of give some like striation look to this muscle. Just something that's not perfectly smooth, and I can especially get away with that because he's a monster. There we go. It's looking a bit nicer. Adding some more interest. I did a lot of this technique in yesterday's live stream where I did the graveyard ghoul. That's a really good stream if you want to see me just do a lot of body work. All right, let's go ahead and give these toenails some attention. They're kind of smushed and dragged around right now. And that has to do when I was resizing the feet. But making some long toenails is gonna add a lot of character to this character. It's all in the toenails. You can also bulk up these feet by making these bones really exaggerated. Our feet and our hands have a lot of in common with the way that they're structured. So if you learn a lot about how to sculpt one, you have a little bit of a head start on how to sculpt the other. I'm gonna go one step further and go ahead and paint these toenails as well. They're not gonna be a cute color, they're gonna be this yellowy white. We'll lower the intensity and add a small shadow at the base of the toenail. It's really going to help sell that diseased look. Alright, I'm going to polygroup all the toenails so I can hide them and then paint the skin underneath. I'm going to darken up his toes a bit. That's also going to help. Looking pretty good. I'm even going to be a little more exaggerated with the striations in this muscle here. Wouldn't normally do this, but again, he's coming out so creepy. I really want to lean into that. These are really nice paint catchers here. I'm going to lower the fur here to better show off his musculature. Just makes everything a little more clear. There we are. We're a little ahead of schedule, which is great. So let's go ahead and detail the shorts while we're at it. To do this, I'm just gonna go to close holes, crease, and then add some trim on the base of the shorts. I add these like bars for structure on the sides. I like that. It's kind of giving like a metal look almost. Now let's add some fabric folds. To do this, I go in with my standard brush, increase the Z intensity and decrease the draw size. Right here is not a fabric fold, this is just like the structure of the pants and some seams. They're very small details, but they go a long way in making the model more readable and more believable. I do print these at tabletop scale, which is only 28 millimeters if you're not familiar. That's like just a couple inches tall. So a lot of these details will be subtle. But I have quite a few people that support me that print my stuff really tall and big, so I like to add a lot of detail to my stuff, and most importantly, I do it for me, because it's just fun. I have a really good time doing it. I like to go on the underside here and add these large divots. So it's still nice and 3D printable. But you get a better like illusion here that it's not just like this solid mesh that wraps all the way around. Let's add just a little bit of wear and tear on the edge. We're going to increase the focal shift. And what that does is it kind of softens the edges of whatever detail that you're adding. Going to reset the alpha type to come back in here and add a little more structure to these back muscles of his legs. Excellent. Don't need to see any more funny dwarf butt or gnome butt. Let's have these little white fur pieces fit his feet better instead of intersect. To do that, I'm actually going to hide everything else and pull them out like this. And that will give a better overlapping effect. There we go. Yeah, when you're working, don't be afraid to constantly hide pieces so you can get to the area you need to sculpt on better. Lovely. He's looking very charming, isn't he? Very small detail. I'm going to go ahead and paint the beds of his fingernails while I'm at it. Lots of small touches here. Imagine his feet would be quite dirty because he goes everywhere barefoot, so that's just a nice little detail for me to know that it's there. So now I'm kind of playing with these shoulder shapes here and seeing how they're going to affect his silhouette. I like the size of them kind of as is. If I make them smaller, it kind of ruins the menacing look. But I'm curious if I can get this like sloping effect. But I don't want to make it look like he has wings on his shoulder either. Pat says, I really love the eyebrows. Thank you, me too. I'm toying with making them even bigger. I think that's a more interesting silhouette. I like it. Let's go ahead and start detailing this shirt that he has. Instead of using close holes on this, I'm going to use dynamic and apply thickness this way. The reason I'm doing this instead of close holes is because because it has this big V here, it doesn't just extrude all the way. It'll end up with like a little thin piece of geometry, and we don't want that. We have a funny little edge right here, so let's go ahead and ZBrush by half and try to remove that. So now I have dynamic on, we don't have that big weird artifact that we had earlier. There we are. Go ahead and click apply. Check how that's looking on the mesh itself. Very good. And now let's add some lines and details to this. I'm going to be doing that by using the ZBrush. Painted Dragon says, I'm going to make food for the family, so take care, I'll catch up what I miss later. Sounds great. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good day. I'm excited for food later too. We're making a chicken tortilla soup tonight. I really like how that turned out just on that first one. A lot of this is not going to be visible, so I'm not going to be too pressed about adding tons of little details here. But of course, still going to give it some love and attention. I'm going to inset that poly group, and now we're going to extrude just this edge here. Unless it's going to be weird. Don't be weird about it. Oh, we have some kind of weird artifact right here. Where did you come from? Interesting. I can prevent that by just masking this inside part. Whatever you mask when you're using ZBrush, it just means that that area will not be affected. There we go. Now we're going to extrude that poly loop border. There you go. Kind of like a nice simple shape there. Almost looks like suspenders from the front, which I don't mind. Let's go ahead and add in some rough texture. And I'll be using a damp sander brush plus this new alpha right here. Again, most of this is covered, so I'm gonna really just throw in the texture here loosely. This way when it's 3D printed, I just don't want this area to be perfectly smooth when it catches paint because it's going to be a little jarring. So again, I'm going to rough that up a bit. That's how it ends up looking. It's really, really minor, but it just adds some interest when painted. I don't mind having perfectly smooth areas on my models when they're printed, but it has to be very intentional. We're almost done with another 30-minute section here. My goodness, that just flew by. I mean, a lot of good progress too. All right, let's pay a little more attention to this helmet now. Helmets are very sensitive. They change a lot about the silhouette and they sit on what's usually the focal point of the model, which is the head. So take care when making adjustments to any helmets on your characters. So right there I went in with a crease and then I also polished by group. So it's going to give it a bit of a smoother rounded look. Just going to tuck that in a bit so you can see even more of the ears. Because again, part of the description of this character that's so important is these large swinish ears. So I initially thought I was going to get rid of this draping part of the helmet, but I ended up keeping it because I really do enjoy the silhouette on it. Adding a few more structured lines on the back here. I'm just going to quickly block these in. There we are. The back of the model isn't a focal point, but it still deserves attention. So if I feel like there needs to be something there to catch more paint, I go ahead and find something that complements the shape. All right, the edges of the helmet need to be brought in ever so slightly. So let's go ahead and do that. Looking good. All right, timer just went off, and really happy with how much I got done in the last 30 minutes there. That came together really quick. I'm gonna go ahead and add a few more details to this helmet, a little bit of overtime, if you will, and then we're gonna be moving into posing. All right. I have just the brush for this. I just need to find it. I'm gonna add some rivets along the trim here. When you're using an IMM brush and you're like drawing in a bunch of bolts like this, something you can do that'll save you a lot of time is going to your brush palette, depth, and adjusting how far it's going to inset into the brush or the mesh naturally. So I went ahead and inset that, and it's going to save me some time because now I can just click and drag and it's already me touching the mesh. So I actually need to decide where I want these rivets to be. And for the color, I'm just gonna do a pure white right now, just so I have nice contrast when I'm figuring out where I want these shapes to be. I think they need to be on the band. It's just such a small area. Something else you can do if you don't want to try to click and drag to get the exact right size each time. If you click and drag a little bit and then hold Command, it will snap to a specific size that correlates to your brush size. So let me increase my brush size to 5. So now I do that, be a bit larger. And that's a really easy way to make sure you have consistent sizing all the way around. I'm gonna go ahead and use auto groups, and I'm gonna split these other pieces of the helmet into their own sections. So it's just the rivets. That way I can adjust these a bit more. There we are. Let's go back to the IMM parts. There we go, it's a nice little detail there. It doesn't need to be that bright white, but just adds some more texture and interest. And do one last touch here to the helmet. See if I want to add a couple of these ridges. I think it just needs a little bit more going on his dome. See how that looks. Oh yeah, I like that a lot. Just something real simple. All right, make the brush size smaller and the Z intensity higher because I want this metal sharp crease look to it. Very nice. Nothing huge, just like a simple little detail to run on there. Let's see if I want to add 2 more to make it a V shape. Absolutely. I have lazy mouse turned on to kind of help me stabilize my brush. There we go. Excellent. Meditating Monkeys here. Hello and welcome. It's been a nice little quiet stream here. So we're working on an ice gnome. He's not a normal ice gnome, as you can tell. He's really a monstrosity. Like, he's not even gonna go into my character catalog. He's gonna go into my bestiary. That's the best thing that I could classify him, and that's what my requester had asked for. So we are at a breakpoint here. All right. So the requester specifically asked for a model that's like an ice gnome-esque with wide white teeth showing between grinning lips between ear to shiny or swinish ear. I was going to say ear to shiny ear, like ear to sea to shiny she. Anyway, he's also going to have these thick nail with splayed feet and splayed hands, so he's just a spooky looking guy. He's pretty much done here. I added these icicles in his beard because Taylor suggested that, and it was a lovely suggestion. Yeah, it's been a really good time. I'm on my second coffee of the day. I was gonna say like it's one of those days, but it makes it sound like it's a bad day. It's not. It's just, it's raining outside and it just feels nice and cozy. I'm gonna rough up the beard texture a bit. Might need to adjust the poly count here so these adjustments don't look too rough. Yeah, I hope you guys are all having a nice day. Thanks for spending part of it with me. I'll be doing my last stream of the week tomorrow. And then we'll be starting the next week, Monday, 11 a.m. for another full week of live streaming. There we go. Excellent. I'm gonna add some more transitions here by, there we go. Kind of blending in these icicles with some blues, and then coming in with a slightly darker blue. Add a little more shadow and depth here. Excellent. Fun guy. Voxel says, I love Lazy Mouse. It's how I do my panel lighting. Oh, clever. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, at this point, I would say Lazy Mouse is almost just a crutch for me. I can't draw a straight line anymore. If I really think about it and like pull a line, like I'm really thinking like from my shoulder, not from my wrist, it comes out decent, but all right, this is coming out great. Kind of taking a little bit of a break here. Instead of actually stepping away from the live stream entirely and having a break screen, I'm just gonna sit here for a second because I already have my coffee and my water and feeling good. Not like I need to stretch or anything. So we're gonna kind of think about what the next 30 minutes of the stream will look like. I think we're ready to pose. It's gonna be a pretty simple pose. He's just gonna have like a very, think like top heavy, broad, intimidating kind of pose. Not like an action pose where he's flying or anything, or like a flying jump or whatever. He's actually gonna have two. So I want one pose to be more on the calm side and one pose to be more action-like. It's rare that I do two poses for each model, but it worked out really well. So again, every model I sculpt here is a Patreon request, and this patron has supported me for quite a few months. So what he did was in September, he asked for a model, and then the next month, October, he just asked for the same model but a new pose. And I'm like, that totally works. So that's why I've been doing two poses for the last couple models. They're from the same requester. If you're interested in making your own model requests, you can kind of decide what I sculpt. You can do that. All the links in the description like usual. This is looking pretty darn good. I'm so glad I do this like storyboard thing now where I have, this is for people that are new to the stream, kind of hanging out and lurking. On the far left here, this is where the stream started. So we've gone on a journey to get to where we're at now. Let's see, how long are we sitting at? Yeah, we're sitting right at the 2-hour mark. Looking good. Looking really good. Once I have this model all post-processed and done up, I'm gonna be sharing this model for free on live stream as well. If you're watching in the future, it's no longer free, but you can get this model plus like 800 others on my Patreon. Link in the description. Alrighty, I'd say let's set a little timer for 30 minutes and get him posed, shall we? So for my posing process, I like to make sure my subtools are all cleaned up. It just makes it easier for me to button things up. For example, we don't need the rivets on the helmet to be separate from the actual helmet. And we can actually remesh the helmet now because it's not an organic piece. It's not gonna be bending. It just sits on his head. It definitely doesn't need to be as many points as it is right now. So let's go ahead and decimate that. Monkey says, I'm making fajitas. Oh, that sounds so good. Yeah, I'm making chicken tortilla soup later tonight. Kind of the same vibe. I'm really excited about it. I can also decimate these fur pieces here quite a bit because they're not going to be moving very much. I might do small bends to make sure they're fitting the body well, but again, it's pretty stiff overall. I'm debating on what kind of weapon I want him to be holding. I think I might give him 2 great axes. We'll see. Or I guess if he's holding 2, there wouldn't be great axes then. That's two-handed. It'd be 2 hand axes. You get what I mean. Looking good. Really happy with his face. God, he is goofy looking in the best way. I won't be decimating like his shirt or his pants or anything like that because they already have really nice subdivision levels in them, which means when I go to pose, they'll be super low poly, all ready to go. Let's go ahead and merge his beard down. Got lots of stuff going on for his beard. I'm going to keep the icicles a separate piece because they are a hard surface and I don't want them to get too smushed around as I sculpt. Pat says, today I'm making spaghetti. I said, I'm bringing assassin, but I don't think that's what you mean. Assassina. Either way, I love pasta. I bet it's going to be great. I'm drawing a blank right now, but I'm pretty sure it's you, Pet, that posted that picture of all those cats in my Discord yesterday. That's amazing. They're all just like waiting in a line, hanging out for you. That's just the best. Oh my goodness. I absolutely love cats. I thought I was gonna send it to my dad. I ended up not because he actually had to put down one of his cats earlier this week. And it was super sad. So I'm like, maybe I'll wait to share that next week. all coming together really good. Anything else I need to button up here before we move on? I don't think so. And yeah, monkey. Oh yeah, Pat says that's exactly what I mean. So assassin pasta. How fun. All right, looking really good. Everything has been checked on, pretty low poly, and the biggest thing that when you're gonna pose something in ZBrush, it is essential that you do not have a piece of a subtool hidden. If you bring that in to transpose master, it will have a vertex mismatch when you try to put the pose back on it, and it will not work. I've done it like 100 times, so that's why I know. Pat said, today I posted a picture with one who is not in the picture. Oh, excellent, even more cats. Also, are all those names Spanish? Like, I'm pretty sure, like, I translated them because I know like very little Spanish, but I had to Google most of them. Did you really name your cat, like, what was it? Lizard, Sardine, Hook? And then I couldn't figure out what the last one was. Very entertained by that though. If you're lurking right now and you have no idea what we're talking about, because I'm talking about Discord, I can put an invite up. All right, let's get this posing. Pet says, yeah, 2 of them are snack names. How cool. Oh, it's such a cute name. I love that. I love creative names for pets. Yeah, I'm curious if you guys are watching, like, if you guys have any pets. Like, I'd love if you guys shared what your pet's name and, like, what kind of pets that you have. Currently I just have a dog and a horse. My dog is named Maverick, and that's because, one, Maverick's a great name, but also because my husband and I are really into off-roading, and we have a Can-Am Maverick, which is like a buggy car. Anyway, and then my horse is named Spartan. I didn't pick that name for him, he already had it. He was actually a racehorse, so his race name was Express Himself, which is based on the Madonna song, Express Herself. Very cute. He's a very sensitive soul, so it's very fitting. But his new owners had named him Spartan, and he's a gigantic horse. He has 16.2 hands, if you guys know what that means in a horse. That's huge. Anyway, and yeah, those are my two pets. Monkey says, my cat's names are Cheesy Poof and Rainbow Pizza Cat. My child spawned named both. Okay, I love that. Cheesy Poof for a cat name is up there in my top 5 favorite cat names of all time. Absolutely beautiful. Cheesy Poof. Oh my god. So you can call your cat Cheesy or Poof for short. Beautiful. Alright. Let's get posing. I got 20 minutes on the clock. Let's do it. I like this pose a lot. I actually don't have a reference. I just kind of have it in my mind. And I can see how it's going to turn out, and I really like it. I need to bend his knees a bit more so it looks like he's still balanced. It's also showing off his lovely gut. So I'm making any fine-tune adjustments with the move brush here. Now I'm going to mask at the knees and give them a nice bend. Whenever you're posing a model, you're always going to need to go back through and do a little bit of resculpting. It's not a big deal. Also really rare that I pose in symmetry like this. It's just, for this specific pose, it's working out really well. As we move upwards though, we're gonna have more crookedness and asymmetrical detail. It just makes the pose look a little more organic and more comfortable. There we go. I think someone new is here. B, hi. I've been looking at sculpting while streaming, but I'm a horrible speaker. Was wondering if it's an avenue worth exploring? Yes, I would say so. I definitely think so. Just don't feel a lot of pressure to feel like you have to entertain. Just kind of have an easy time, and if you're not sure what to talk about, maybe just pick like one thing every 15 minutes or so to explain. So yeah. Just don't pressure yourself to feel like you have to, you're gonna feel really uncomfortable on camera at first. You might be a bad speaker now, but that's a really good way to improve, is just by, yeah, I've never had someone ask me for streaming advice. That's kind of fun. Yeah, just take it slow and maybe set it like a timer so you only stream for like an hour at a time, because it's gonna zap your energy at first because it's gonna feel so new. And don't be disheartened by the view count. Don't even pay attention to it. In the beginning, just get comfortable with being on camera. I'm a big fan of streaming on YouTube. I do not like Twitch, but obviously go to whatever platform works best for you or that you're most interested in. I'm pretty sure on YouTube you can't stream here though until you have like a somewhat established channel, so you might have to go to Twitch first. I hope that answered your question. I don't have people ask me about streaming very often. Usually it's about art or myself, so feel free to ask more questions if you want to. Very good one. Voxel says, I had to take in some babies because of sickness or raccoon attacks. Now I have too many indoor cats. Yeah, I didn't know that raccoons attack cats. Good to know. I absolutely adore cats. I've always very much so been a cat person. I love all animals, but yeah. B says, wait, how does that work? As far as like being able to stream on YouTube, the requirements when I started was a couple of years ago, so it might have changed, but I think you need to have at least 1,000 watch hours on your channel in order to stream. Here you go. How do you get an established channel if you can't stream? Again, on Twitch, you can stream right away. But on YouTube isn't a live streaming platform, it's a video platform. So they don't really extend live streaming privileges until you have established videos. I hope that makes sense. Don't be mad at me for it. Again, I don't set the rules. That's YouTube. If you want to take it up with them, doesn't make sense, go nuts. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and get a softer look here. Rotate his hips a bit. Dude, he looks awesome already. I'm really excited about this. All right, we're gonna hide those shoulder pauldrons and the jerkin so we can pose his arms together. I think we're on track to pose this model completely in 30 minutes. I'm really happy with that. All right, now that I've already moved his shoulders and his lats, let's go ahead and move. Put a mask on that because I don't need to move anymore. There we go, coming good. Restless Adventure is here. Hi, you're the requester for this. So I've been talking about you all stream and reading your description that you gave. Very cool. Oh, and get back to B. B said, okay, if it's off hours, watch. I'm way over quota. No, sorry, no, it's only hours that it's been watched on your channel. I feel that though. I'm on YouTube all the time. Loving the ice gnome so far. Friend recommended me the channel. I've been snooping ever since. No kidding. Oh, that's so cool. Thank you to your friend for suggesting me, and thank you to you for actually showing up. All right, back to Restless Adventurer. This has been so much fun. I'm calling him an ice gnome monstrosity because I don't know what else to call him because he's not really like a character ice gnome. But we got the swinish ears, we got the wide teeth, we got the splayed feet. Since you're here, if you have a suggestion on what kind of weapons, if any, you want, feel free to let me know. This is the first pose that I'm doing for him. You requested 2, but we're only gonna do 1 on stream today. He's got kind of like a tough man pose going on right now. I don't even think he needs weapons, but we totally could fit some axes in his hands if you would like. Right? Like, how fun is this? I've been having a really good time with this model. Yesterday, I streamed your other request, which was the Kelshite Ghoul. I didn't paint him the same color scheme as was in your request. I just was feeling blues and greens that day, but as you know, the paint doesn't actually affect the 3D model. That's just a fun thing that I do on stream. Monkey says, I know someone who is wanting to be able to live stream on YouTube in the Project Zomboid community, so they did a 4-hour video of them playing. Makes sense. Then they opened up like 50 incognito tabs and watched their own video to get hours. They were able to stream the following month. I love it. Modern problems require modern solutions. Very good, very good. This guy is going to print and paint so well. There are so many like big textures on this. All right, let's go ahead and move his head just a touch. I like the stiffness of it a little bit, but I do want a little more of a flow. All right, we have the head selected now. Make sure you put your pivot point where the actual joint would be. Otherwise it's gonna, like for example, if I put the pivot point like on his hand and try to rotate, see, it's gonna rotate around that. And we don't want that. So, whoop, make sure you're putting it where it's actually gonna bend. Restless Adventure says, yeah, there are as much servants as warriors. They don't need weapons. If you could maybe leave the hands cupped, I could add some weapons and keep some unarmed. That makes sense. I'll just not put weapons in. How about that? I like the toughness. He's definitely reminded me of like a very intense Santa elf almost. So I'm glad that that's the right description here. B says, the forbidden hidden baby hand. You have been lurking. You know all about that. Yep. Excellent. When anyone comes to the stream and mentions hidden, like tiny hands, baby hands, I know you've been hanging out. It's like the password to the community. Monkey says, Project Zomboid is fun. I'm waiting until Build 42 comes out to get back into it. I have way more hours I want to admit on that game. Oh yeah, I feel that. I've got games that, I have a lot of games like that. I have a ridiculous amount of hours in. Largely like Stardew Valley, Animal Crossing, but also Dragon Age. I have played Dragon Age Origins like, you know, I don't need to share that. I've enjoyed the game a lot. I don't need to tell you guys how long I've played that game and how many hours. Let's just say if I spent all that time doing anything else, I'd be like a master. That's not how that works, so. So, Restless Adventure, since you were here, I always get excited when the requester is in the stream. This is the first pose, I picked this pose, you know. I have to do a second pose for the Kelshite Ghoul and the Ice Gnome. So if you do want, I was planning on a more like action pose for my seconds for each of those. If you got something else in mind, feel free to let me know and I'll work with it. And then Restless says, funny, there's a DCC module featuring Ice Gnomes that is Santa plus elves inspired. No kidding. Hey, I'm on a roll. I'm picking up the vibes without knowing what they are. All right, since I'm not going to give him weapons, I'm going to make his hands look a little more comfortable, because as of right now, it looks like he is carrying some weight, which I like, but I want it to be more like menacing strongman as opposed to, is this paused? No, cool. I'm so surprised with how well I'm working within my timer today, guys. I keep thinking my timer is pausing. It's just been a fast work day. It's been nice. All right, I like it. I like it a lot. All right, let's go ahead and mask, oops, these fur pieces on top. Restless, when you first started asking me to sculpt stuff, again, you probably give me the most vague and descriptive models out of really any of my other requesters. I remember the first few times I was so worried if you were gonna like it or not. And now when you request stuff, I'm like, oh, I got this. I'm gonna figure something out. And even if you didn't like love it, you can just request something new next month that's just a better version of that, you know? I felt much more relaxed. But in the beginning, I'm like, what the heck is a Kelshite Ghoul? Like, what are these things? And I'm like, okay. Definitely took some confidence building. Well, in the beginning, you were asking for like the Saurian monstrosity and stuff, and those were especially vague and weird. But they ended up coming out so good. They're some of my favorite models. I actually have one of them printed on my desk over there. Monkey is commenting on the baby hands and joking about him. And then B says, odd question, do you ever do collabs? I'm also a miniature sculptor that leans towards fantasy, D&D, Pathfinder, all that jazz. Would be open to it if you're ever down for something. Oh yeah, I'm always collaborating and talking to the creators and trying stuff out. If you use Discord, I can put my invite for that and then you can message me there. That's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. Also, if anyone else here wants to be part of my Discord, just let me know. It's technically patron only. Like if you support me on Patreon, you get the invite to Discord. But again, it's my server. I own it. So I can do whatever I want with it. So if I want to invite you guys to the stream or to the community, I can. Love being in charge. Oh my gosh, I love this guy. Oh, he's so fun looking. Restless says, you really somehow model things unexpectedly perfectly. Thank you, I really appreciate that. Taylor says, a mimic, but instead of a treasure chest, it's a couch. Ooh, that'd be fun. I've done a ton of mimics. I did a whole set recently. I didn't do any couches. What a missed opportunity. Because I can put the mouth between the cushions. And then B says, yes, link me. Yep. And then Restless says, you worked for Titancraft for a bit, didn't you? Yes, I worked for them full time for about the better part of a year, a couple of years ago. And they're fantastic guys. It's Andrew and Jared. Really nice guys. I love working for them too. Pet says, looks like he needs Atlas gauntlets, like Vi. Yeah, from Arcane. Yeah, it kind of does. Okay, I'm gonna link my Discord for y'all to join. If you're just lurking and hanging out, feel free to lurk in my Discord too. You're invited. Everyone that's hanging out on the stream is invited. I just want to be clear that it's not like only B can join. Make sure I'm adding you to the right Discord. I have 2 Discord servers because I have 2 Patreon servers. One where I share 3D models and one where I teach people how to use ZBrush. B says, oh, for real? Titancraft's that awesome? Any tips on maybe reaching out to them? If that's okay, if I ask, not totally ignore. No, of course you can ask. Are you looking for work? I'm not sure if they're hiring any more artists right now, but they're really cool. They have a server too that you can join, and if you want to talk to them about collaborating, I've seen them do collaborations with like Velrock before and stuff like that. Monkey says, technically when a creature dies, they're no longer considered a creature. They're considered an object corpse. So we need more corpse mimics. Oh, I didn't think about that. I like that. I like that a lot. And then Pet says, are you caught up on Arcane Season 2? I have not watched Arcane Season 2. Y'all better be really vague in the chat because I don't want any spoilers. All right, we're gonna do a little bit of 360 here to make sure that his weight is balanced nicely. Oh my gosh, he is so funny. I probably should make his fist actually touch him because that would make this model almost supportless, and I don't think it's really adding anything by having the fist not touching him. Oh god, those baby hands are really funny. That's not getting old, is it? And again, Restless, I'm so glad that you like the models that you've requested from me because you're one of the first people that ever joined my like reboot of the Legendary tier on Patreon. So I was like, oh man, this guy joined to, I don't know if you're a girl or guy, I just assume. Anyway, they joined to get this model requested and I'm like, can I even do this? And it worked out. So I'm glad you're still here. You've been supporting me on Patreon for months at this point. So thank you, I really appreciate it. I keep meaning to get a little banner going on my live streams that just has all my patrons like scrolling the entire time, so that way if you join the stream, like you can see your own name slide by at some point. I got lots of plans for the live streaming. If you guys ever have any ideas of how to make or making the live stream better or whatever, let me know. I'm always open to ideas. I'm super new to this and I'm really happy it's been going as well as it has. Oh yeah, hands on hips all the way. This model is almost supportless. This would be very FDM friendly. Yeah, this rocks. Let's bring that chest out. Oh yeah. All right, time to go apply this pose to all the subtools. So go to Transpose Master and T-Pose Sub-T. Taylor says maybe he could use a giant brass gong on his stomach and he just beats it with 2 hammers. That would be super cool. He's more of like a servant type than he is like his own, that's like a warrior servant. Still a really clever, cool idea. And then Restless says, guy. Okay, I was right. Like I made an assumption, but I liked it. I don't know. All right. Ooh, you guys talked a lot and I missed you. 1 second. Let me get this nice and big on the screen for you guys to enjoy. Oh my god, he kicks ass. Okay, and then let's see what's going on. You guys are loving Arcane Season 2. Love it. B asks, how long does a sculpt usually take you? No longer than 5 hours. Anywhere between 2 to 5. When I live stream, I'm about 30% slower than I am when I don't live stream. However, I find that my live stream models come out slightly higher quality as a result. And then Restless says, +1 for mimic corpses. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna write that down officially. Or I'll even put it in the Discord maybe and be like, hey, someone should request this. Monkey says, talking more about Arcane. Good stuff. You guys aren't putting any spoilers, I appreciate it. Again, Monkey is like, it's mostly Arcane chat. Yeah. Very good stuff. All right, let's go ahead and clean up some scenes, get this post processed, and I'll be sharing this file with you guys shortly. B says, damn, 5 hours. It takes me 5 weeks for anything. I'm a slow sculptor. Well, you're in luck. If you are interested in improving your skills and improving your workflow, I also teach and work with artists that are already pretty far along in their art career as well. Most of my students are brand new beginners, but I have a subsection of about 30%. Of artists that are already full-time and professionals as well. And I just kind of help button up your workflow in addition to general business advice. I've been doing this full-time for 5 years, and Ricky and I, that's my husband, this is our only job. So all of our art income supports 2 people plus I consider a very comfortable lifestyle. I'm very proud of our business and I'm very happy to share tips for that. If you're interested in being part of mentorship program, links in the description. And then yeah, dude, Arcane is so cool. So Russ has asked, what is Arcane? Arcane is a Netflix exclusive show that is based off of the world of League of Legends. It is just awesome. I highly, highly recommend opening up a little new tab in Google and typing in Arcane in Netflix and you'll see the show. It's just absolute artistry. The story is fantastic, the music's fantastic, but more than anything, it's just enchanting to watch. It's just beautiful. All right, let's keep on going. We got 1 minute left on our timer, so enough time for me to kind of look at this and plan on what's next. We got our funny little butt there, and we're gonna clean up these seams by using the clay brush. So to clean up seams like this, you can either use the clay brush, or you can also use Trim Dynamic with Alt held down. Either works. God, I love this model so much. It really catches me off guard. Like, being perfectly transparent, this is not a model I was super excited about. I was like, medium. I'm like, this will be a good time. But there's some models, like when people ask for elves or druids or pretty things, I'm really excited about them. Or if they ask for really gross things, like someone asked for Knuckle Leaf, which is like a centaur, humid fusion. It's very like grimdark. Those are up my alley. I read this and I didn't have a great visual of it, but I figured I'd figure it out. But I've just fallen in love with the design as I went. There were so many things on this that were so much fun to sculpt. Primarily his face and his teeth. This was just a great model. What a great request. Such a good time. This is gonna fit so well into my Frostbite Valley collection. And man, even my Underdark. Good one. And I also want to elaborate on that a little bit more. If there's a request I get on the request board that I straight up just don't like, I never accept them. I'm always very transparent, but that just never happens. But B says, any specific spot supposed to hello message, this is who I am, or what do I message on your Discord? Let's see. You can go to general, introduce yourself. You want to talk about your art. If you specifically want to like promo your art, I have a self-promotion channel where you can always share your stuff. If you want to message me specifically, if you type in M3DM, you can find my profile and send me a DM about possible collaborations, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I see a couple of you guys join. I'm gonna go ahead and wave to you both. Hello. Also, if you have pets, I would love if you shared pictures of your pets in the pet pictures. It's very important. Oh, Not a Doc Martin is here. Hello. I like his gnarly teeth. Yeah, me too. It's a good time. He's just, God, he is just fun as heck, isn't he? Speaking of great requests and great Patreon supporters, Not a Doc Martin is one of them as well. These are the people that make it possible. So whenever they tune in, I always like to give them a little shout out. All right, gonna patch up his armpits a bit. His lats are looking very nice. Ah, this model rocks. Okay. In the next 30 minutes, we're going to post-process. So let's go ahead and get my timer going. And let's get rolling. We're also gonna drop a hard save because I haven't done that in like 2 hours. I like to live on the edge. Just kidding, no I don't. I am not a risk taker in my personal life at all. Moving across the country this year just about blew my mind in a bad way and a good way. It was really pushing it for me. It was very scary. Luckily it worked out well and I'm very happy here. But there's a reason why I've lived within a 45-minute bubble my entire life. All right, so we're getting ready for post-processing, and what that means is we're preparing this model for 3D printing. I don't want there to be any holes in the mesh or just like chewed up geometry. I want to make sure everything is nice and smooth. While we're post-processing, I'm going to go ahead and add another model stamp here. There we go. And that's gonna end up being my splash page later on, I think. I really don't have enough room. I'm trying to think. So I like keeping the storyboard up while I'm going, but I also want to have space to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to save this as a splash page. And I'll come back to this later to do the splash. Man, he rocks. There we go. All right, let's keep on post-processing. Excuse me, keep post-processing. Yeah, not much cleanup needed on this model. Let's make sure that his feet are on the same plane. Yes, they are. Excellent. And let's move right on along. So the way that I do this is I check the mesh on each of the subtools, and then I merge them down as I go. Once they're merged, I can remesh. Gosh, he looks so ridiculous. If you guys haven't looked up in a hot minute, this is a good time to see his goofy little body without facial hair or clothes. Yep, he's a special one. So usually when I live stream, I'm listening to music, different like video game, lo-fi mixes, stuff like that. But today I've just listened to rain. That's all I've been listening to. It's been a nice vibe, nice and quiet. Some days I wake up and my brain just feels kind of busy, so putting music on top of it just makes it more busy. All right, we're gonna start putting clothes on him because this is horrifying. Oh my gosh, his little hands. Oh my gosh. That has just not gotten old for me at all. Yeah, Royce even says the hands never get old. I swear I said that before I even saw your comment on the same page. It cracks me up. Again, I never even thought that was interesting or funny when I was working because I didn't have an audience. I just worked by myself, right? And I always show my husband my work, but I don't really show him a lot of the process just when the model is finished. So he never saw it either, and I guess that's kind of my own bubble. And yeah, wasn't appreciating the goofiness of it. Yeah, it is kind of like a T-Rex pet, I agree. I have quite a few 3D artists and creators in the chat, and I especially at first felt like embarrassed having you guys see that because I'm like, you know, you're like my colleagues, my like other professionals in this space, and I'm like, don't look at my dirty heathen way of doing this. I remember Taylor specifically, she's in a lot of these live streams, she's probably lurking right now too. She's like, that would drive me crazy. That is the worst. And I'm like, it is the worst, isn't it? For anyone just jumping in the stream, this is what we're talking about. I smushed my hands down on the main base mesh so I don't have to reconstruct subdivision levels. And then I stuff on pre-made hands I have sculpted and over the years on top of them. It's the worst, I'm aware. But it works. It really works. I designed for 3D printing. This is not going to get animated. This is not going to be... My tiny hands will never be exposed. That's what I'm trying to say. Gosh, look at that smile. There's something really friendly and menacing at the same time. If you guys tuned in to yesterday's stream, you'll know that I committed a cardinal sin and tried to remesh the entire model at the same time, and it made the live stream drag on for like an extra hour. I mean, y'all had a good time. I was hungry. I was really, really over it. Today, I have learned, and we're gonna do it the correct way, because it doesn't even take that long. Never unnecessarily rush your work process. You're just taking shortcuts for no good reason. Good work takes good time. B says, see, I've always felt, B says, see, I've always felt some way about me using old stuff for new pieces. I'm so glad you said that. Oh yeah, oh my goodness. I mean, you mentioned you lurked on other streams, but I have a whole asset library. I don't know if you've seen it. Let me just quickly, this is my master tools folder. These are, let's just bring in all my items. Oh, it's auto-saving. Don't crash. ZBrush gets so mad when I try to do anything and it's saving. Anyway, I need to zoom out here, but this is a library I've created of all of my previous assets, just my items. There is no shame in reusing work you've already done. One, it is your work. Two, if it's a creative endeavor and it's a hobby, especially like, there's so many like art purists out there that are like, oh, you must climb a mountain first and meditate before you sculpt a brand new belt again. I'm like, no, I've sculpted a belt before. I'm good. I can just use the one that I've already made. Thanks. I've never had anyone give me sass for it or whatever, but I'm also a really small creator. I'm sure as this grows, I'll get someone that has a problem with it and I'll just send them on their merry way. I love having mod privileges. I'm just like, gone. So you guys wouldn't know this, but there are definitely people that popped into the stream. They're not even like particularly rude or whatever. Some people just give me bad vibes. So if you're here and you're talking and you've been hanging out and having a good time, no, it means I like you. Like seriously, I do not tolerate bad vibes or, again, disagreeableness is welcome. All of my friends are the most disagreeable jerks in the world and I love them dearly. They will argue over anything and they're just, it's part of being a smart person. They got a lot to say. So again, sharing opinions is fine. Love all of that. It's a specific shitty vibe, and I know it when I see it. So it's not a coincidence the people in the chat that you guys all get along and you're all awesome. Y'all pass the vibe check. I had someone in my Discord a couple months ago being like, wow, all the people here are so nice. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's not a coincidence. It's part of being a moderator. It's just the stuff that kind of happens behind the scenes, and I never make a stink about it or anything. I just send them on their merry way, and no one's the wiser. B says, yeah, it's more so myself giving myself sass for it. Isn't it always the internal critic? I get that. You know, classic imposter syndrome. Oh my god. B, you want to talk about imposter syndrome? Here's imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is getting multiple full-time jobs while you're in college to pay for your dorm and housing, even though you have a full-ride scholarship that already pays for it, because you're so paranoid about losing your scholarship because they're gonna find out that you don't really deserve it. That's imposter syndrome. That was my college experience. And funny enough, I did lose my scholarship, but I didn't lose it until the very, very last semester because I had a 3.3 GPA in mechanical engineering instead of a 3.5. And if I didn't work so many damn jobs, maybe I would have kept a 3.5. That's sass. That's imposter syndrome. You seriously have nothing to lose by believing in yourself, but it's easier said than done. I love talking about my college years. I used to hate it, but as of now, it's such a funny story because it's far enough away in the past that it's not like a sore spot anymore. Now it's just funny. It's this thing that happened years ago. I talk about it like it's been centuries. I graduated college in when did I get my degree? In 2019, right before the pandemic. I got my BS in mechanical engineering. Good timing, yeah? Taylor says, like, blocking them? Yes, I can hide users on the channel. So I can, they wouldn't know. I mean, there might be someone right now being like, oh, that's what happened. Pretty much, they can still interact with the chat like normal. They can say whatever they want. It's just you guys won't see it and I won't see it. They're like shadow banned from the channel, essentially. Which I think is a really clever way that YouTube has developed dealing with trolls. Because if a troll knows that they've been blocked, they just create more accounts and come back. But they have no way of knowing. That being said, let's say if you put some comments in and I don't respond to them, it doesn't mean you were shadow banned. The chat sometimes gets ahead of me and I genuinely didn't see it. But yes, that's the skinny on my secret moderation that goes on behind the scenes. I didn't mention it earlier to Taylor, but in a previous stream, Taylor said like, hey, like I hope you don't feel like I'm giving too many suggestions for your models. And I don't. 1, your suggestions rock. 2, you're really polite about it. And 3, I don't feel pressure to put suggestions in or not. They all just go into the creative bank cloud to be used later, honestly. And you know that for sure, because if I didn't like them, I would have just sent you on your way. I would have disappeared you into the void. It really doesn't happen often. I've only done it a couple times for streams, and in my Discord community over the years, I think I've only like disappeared like 10 people. Disappeared. I'm not an assassin. God, this is sounding spookier than I anticipated. I mean, sometimes it's not even for bad things. It's like, some people can't help but make politics their whole personality. And even if I agree with your political views, if you join my Discord server with a very clear political iconography as your avatar, I'm gonna get rid of you. My Discord server is for fantasy games and dragons. I got no space for the real world there. You can post your pet pictures and your prints. You can complain about your printer, complain about your dog, but don't bring politics into my Discord server. If you do, you on your way. That's kind of like the, that's why I fit well into Tennessee so far. It's very much so like the, bless your heart, now go away kind of thing. But you'll never see me being mean to anyone. I'm always real nice. Just, some people get more attention than others. The regulars here in my live stream are by far my favorite. A lot of you guys are in my Discord server as well. And there's definitely a handful of people that I just adore you guys. I think you're the best. Oh, Monkey being one of them. And I have shared the pet pictures now. Amazing. Yep. And then Pet says, like the pasta, because I mentioned like I sound like an assassin. Yes. Anyone that's just joining the stream right now, like what the heck is going on? Here's the recap. My name is Mia. I make 3D printable models for a living. I sculpt them and I print them. I got a couple prints right here actually. And as far as what we're talking about right now, well, I've been a full-time creator for 5 years, and part of that has to do with community building. And you got sometimes there's some jerks, so you gotta just go disappear them. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm not an assassin. I just take moderating my community very seriously. And I totally get like giving people some grace. Some people, they have a bad day, right? Maybe they say something they don't mean. I get that. But maybe you don't bring that energy to a fantasy Discord space. It's like, go away. All right, I know the tips of the ears had some weird geometry, so I want to smooth that out and make sure that's all cleaned up. Good, looking good. Just know that any space online, if you guys think like, wow, this community is so nice, behind the scenes, there is a moderator making that happen. It's by no accident. All right, he looks awesome. In about 5 minutes, I'm gonna share this model with y'all for free. If you're having a good time hanging out on the stream, make sure to like the live stream. And if you really like it, subscribe. It'll remind you when I live stream in the future, which is Monday through Friday, starting at 11 a.m. Eastern time. Monkey finished the fajitas he was cooking and they were amazing. Very happy to hear it. And then, oh yeah, he also did a nice summary of the entire live stream chat, which has been baby hands, arcane good, assassin pasta, fajitas good, and we all have great pets. That is a very good summary of today's live stream. I like it. All right, let's get this bad boy on a base. But first, are his eyebrows touching his head or no? His eyebrows must touch his base. Okay, they're mostly touching. Get over there. There we go. Cannot have eyebrows floating off his face. That is not very printable. I mean, it's a great overhang. That's going to catch paint like crazy. But it needs to exist and print. I know it's at least somewhat touching his face. Otherwise, the auto groups would tell me. Sew. There we go. All fixed. All right, my last step here is I copy and paste my tool into my end ZPR. Again, you want to streamline your work as much as possible if you produce lots of models in profession like I do. So I have this end ZPR where I can paste my finished tools and make sure they're the appropriate scale. So yeah, I have 2 models in here right now, and I just like to have a couple that I look at. The one on the right is a very old model of mine, and one on the left is a newer one. I like having both because my scale and my style has changed somewhat over the years, and I want to make sure my new models fit well with either. He's going to be a shorter fellow because he is a gnome-esque. There we go. He'd be about that tall. There we are. All right, now I have lots of nice custom bases I've made over the years. Let's go ahead and bring that in. I'm looking for something snowy, or with lots of stones at least. Snow with rocks, there we are. All right, let me scroll up here. Bees on their way, bye. And then Restless says, hey, I wish I'd caught the Kelshite Ghoul stream. You're in luck. It is still on my YouTube channel, so you can always, it's not live obviously, but you can always rewatch any of my streams on my channel. Doesn't have the same magic, but you could watch that character form over the course of 4 hours if you like. And then Royce has their classic end of the stream question. Thank you, Royce. Cheeseburger or a steak? Ooh, that's really difficult. Yeah, can we pick steak burger? I like that. Very nice. And I agree, cast iron pans are the best. I don't really like how these rocks are positioned. Can I get rid of 2 of them? Yes, good job, Mia. I actually made them separate pieces. Excellent. I love when past Mia keeps future Mia in mind. She does not always do that. Lots of things just become future Mia problem, and that is the worst. All right, let's make sure that his feet are touching all the way around. And to do that, I'm gonna mask the bottom of this base. Oh, my AirPods think that I'm trying to text somebody. Nope, I'm not. Just go play my rain sound. Thank you. Looking good. Everything's upside down right now, but I'm gonna fix it in just a moment. I'm just checking his feet. All right, he's pretty much center in the base. I usually have my models about center. we're really close to being done here. You know what? I'm gonna make those ears even thicker, I think. Let's just add some more material. He's just so small. There we go. Nice. All right, let's do some last bit of post-processing here. And then Monkey is just talking about delicious food right now. I'm so hungry right now. Almost done with the stream, and I'm getting lunch after this. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. It was a great stream. I'll have one more tomorrow to finish off the week. Then I take the weekend off, and I'll be back Monday. If you follow me on any of my socials, or even like just subscribe on YouTube, I always post on YouTube what my live stream schedule will be for that week. It's the same time. It's always 11 a.m. Eastern time, but I give a little preview of what models I'll be sculpting on what days. $254 points. What? There's a mesh error somewhere, and now I have to find it. You know, I can try to find it, or I can just put it in Mesh Mixer, and Mesh Mixer will complain and tell me where it is. Again, this model will print no problem, but I don't want to give any new 3D printers a heart attack when Litchi inevitably complains about the mesh. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and throw this in Mesh Mixer so I can see what the problem is. Or if it's even a real problem. So you guys are talking about hot peppers in the chat. I cannot handle spice for the life of me. All those peppers you guys are talking about, nope, I'm good with jalapenos. That's where I top out. Thank you very much. My husband jokes I think ketchup is spicy. I do not think ketchup is spicy. But it's true, I don't handle spice well. There we go. So the armpits are the problem. Oh yeah, look at those angry armpits, y'all. Bam. This is why I like Mesh Mixer, because they'll just like complain wherever the error is. I can just go in there and clean up. Super easy. Trying to find where the actual hole is. The best thing to do is just delete the mesh and then close holes. Now clean it up real nice. There we go, I see it. Now let's see where we're at. Yep, it's looking much better. Looks like we still got some artifacts over here. God, he looks awesome. Really love this model. All right, we got the clear from ZBrush saying this mesh is perfect. Love that, not a single error. Let's re-put this in Mesh Mixer and spit it out. And then Russell said, doesn't Mesh Mixer autofix? It can. I think I do a better job. So I let Mesh Mixer just complain at me. And then if it has like little things it wants to fix, I'll let it. But if it looks like a problem that I should fix, here we go. Check this out. put it in there to the inspector. Flawless. No problems. That's what I want to see. And I guarantee if you load this model right now into Chitubox or Litchi or whatever, it'll still be like, there's mesh errors. It always says that, unless you import like a cube. They're very sensitive. Maybe they've gotten better over the years, but I find they're always complaining about something, and I'm like, okay, look. The mesh is good. Ice Gnome Monstrosity. Maybe I will just call this Ice Gnome and put it in with my dwarves and gnomes. Like, he looks like a monster, but not like horrifyingly. Just, he doesn't look like maybe a playable character. Again, I have a website I'm working on right now, and that's going to fix a lot of these problems where I'm like, oh, what do I call this? How do I label it so it's easy to find? Because I can tag things with multiple different options, and that's going to make that much easier. Alrighty, I'm going to upload this to Google right now, and then I can share this with you guys for free. This is a thank you for hanging out on the stream with me. I always share the model at the end for free, because I finished a model on stream every single time except for once. That's because I was feeling really ill, so I left the stream after like an hour. But usually I finish one on stream and I share it with you at the end. It's only going to be free for about 5 minutes or so, just until I close the stream up. If you want this in the future, you still can get it. It's a pretty smoking deal. It's on my Patreon. You get my entire backlog. So you get this model plus 850 other ones, including characters, creatures, terrain, all that good stuff. So yeah, if you're interested in that, links in the description. If you want to learn how to sculpt your own characters, again, all of it's linked. All right, let me go ahead and share this link with y'all. I'll be posting this in the chat shortly. I'm just waiting for the models to finish uploading. Bam. Monkey says, do you size your minis and export in ZBrush? Do that somewhere else. I size in ZBrush because I have that pre-made end ZPR that already has them sized. I double check it in Mesh Mixer, but I size in ZBrush. And then Pat's talking about a friend that they have that loves spicy stuff. Always looking for super spicy stuff. That's kind of how my husband is. He likes all kinds of spicy foods. Not me. Alrighty. Awesome. This is still a really solid stream. My last 2 streams had been like breaking my own like records as far as like view count and stuff, but this is still just an absolutely lovely kick-ass stream. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you haven't already, like the video. If you want to hang out again, make sure you subscribe and YouTube will notify you. Canine's here. Oh hey, just got the end of the stream. Yeah, I just posted the download link for these files if you want them. So it's a good time to pop in and get them. Made an Ice Gnome Monstrosity today. He looks awesome. Almost done with my second coffee. Roy says, thank you for the model. You are very welcome. Thank you for being here. All right, so I got this model start to finish in 3 hours. Not bad. Pretty happy with that. He looks great. Thank you, K9. I agree. I'm really proud of this one. Let me bring up my other ones. Restless says, thanks for the no base options. I based on clear acrylic so the terrain shows through. Oh, good, good. I know some people use them. I've stopped providing the simple base versions. I find that they must be useless. I do the no base and the decorative. Just having a plain blank base, I mean, I feel like that's really easy to come by. All right, we're going back to our splash page here. Here we go. This is our lovely model, and you can kind of see the progress here from left to right. Very happy with it. K9 says, reminds me of Trundle from League of Legends. I'm not familiar with that specific character, but I love when people look at my work and it makes them think of something else, especially when something is like high-end quality as like League of Legends. I mean, seriously, it's like, those are professional artists, and it feels good to have my work compared to any caliber of that. So thank you. It's a high compliment. Pat says, thanks for the model and the stream. You're so welcome. Not a Doc says, I've been lurking today. Too much work, but great job. Thanks. Yeah, you're welcome. And again, lurk away. I just appreciate y'all hanging out. I can see the view count. Anything more than 5 is a party. I mean, seriously, really 3. But I've gotten greedier because you guys are always around now, so my new number is 5. And we're triple that right now, so couldn't be happier, seriously. Pat says, as always, top notch. Thank you. Pat says, not the red wax material, but I kind of like the red matte you use. And then my husband, that's Ricky, says, awesome. Thank you, honey. I'm really proud of this one. And again, this one kind of came together really quickly. This is the good 3-hour stream. Yesterday dragged on to 4.5 hours, and I know you guys enjoy it, but I was getting hungry. Oh, I was getting crabby at the end of that stream. I don't think I showed it, but I was so annoyed that the post-processing wasn't working the way that it should. And that's just because I didn't pace myself very well. Having this timer on the screen and breaking things down into 30-minute chunks was awesome. That was really helpful for me. I worked at a better pace, and I was still able to engage with the chat and talk with y'all. So you'll be seeing that little timer more in the future. K9 says, do you ever use an alpha in ZBrush? Rounding the alpha. What? Let me ask. Let's see. It says, you ever have an alpha in ZBrush rounding, like a square ZBrush rounding the mask? Drives me nuts. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yes. So let's say you have an alpha and it starts distorting around a curve. That happens all the time. If I mask, it kind of helps. What you really should be doing is creating a UV map and then using a noise modifier to put that texture on your model. That will prevent any distortion. So imagine if you're doing like bricks on a well. A well is a cylinder shape, right? So that would absolutely suck to try to put bricks on. The way to do that is, again, UV map it, put your seams nice and clean, and then there'll be seams where you've already put the ends of your map seams on. But again, you won't get any of that distortion. It'll be very nice, clean, crisp bricks all the way around. So yeah, hope that helps. The real answer is don't put alphas on curved surfaces if you don't want to curve and distort, because it's going to curve and distort. If you find a better solution or anyone else knows a better solution, let me know. I don't know everything. I'm still learning, so I'm always happy to hear more tips and stuff. That's one that I might actually message the Penny Dragon about after the stream. I'm in his Discord server as well, and I bet you he'd have more tips and solutions on that. Taylor says, I'm really curious how UV maps work in here. I'm going to make a point to incorporate it into some live stream upcoming here. I just haven't had to use it for a long time. Essentially, you just draw a mask. Whatever you polygroup, you can like encourage the seams to go on there. So for example, let's say if I was going to do a UV unwrap of like his shorts, what I could do is I could just draw a mask right here. There we go. So now I have 2 different colors, and I can encourage ZBrush to put the UV seam right down the middle right here. It usually works. Sometimes it gets really crabby, but it usually works. And then to use that, you go to Z plugin, UV master right here, and then you click unwrap. I'm not gonna do it right now because this is at 275,000 points and it will explode if I do that. You wanna unwrap nice topology, not Dynamesh, Decimation Master Chaos. And the K9 elaborated and said, oh no, what I meant, sorry, that was confusing. I have an alpha that's 6 squares, so I'm trying to drag it onto a model in ZBrush. Instead of dragging solid, it's like smooth rounding the mask. Yeah, like on the outside, if you lower the focal shift all the way to -100, that should clean that up. You can find that by holding spacebar right here. Focal shift, bam, -100. And that should keep really crisp edges on the side. Oh, you even just said, thought maybe it's focal shift, but no luck there. I want to fix your problem. I'm very interested. It's still just as smooth? Are you sure it's not the alpha itself? If you go up to your alpha right here, you can kind of double check what that's looking like and how it was imported. Maybe it's possible the alpha that was imported already has some blurred smoothing on the edges. Is your poly count high enough to handle the detail you're trying to put on it? I'm interested. Taylor says, there is no encouragement feature for most 3D software, so that's why I find this so interesting. Ah, you have to be exact and explicit. Yeah, no, interesting. ZBrush is all about just encouragement, and it's actually hard to get it to do things explicitly sometimes. K9 says, actually that worked. Hey, I hadn't changed my focal shift after holding control. Yay, I'm glad I was able to help. I mean, you had already figured it out, but me telling you to do the same thing, I'm glad that it worked the second time you tried it. K9 said, I changed focal shift on my brush, not the mask. There you go. There you go. Well, I'm glad. Mystery solved. Anyone that's lurking in the stream, I'm pretty excitable about teaching people ZBrush, so especially if you guys like post stuff in the chat about things that you're struggling with, especially if you're a student of mine, I'm gonna jump on that and try to figure out how to fix your problem. It's also the engineer in me, you know, it all comes together. All right, I'm gonna hang out for like another minute. If you guys have any residual questions, let me know. K9 says, appreciate it. Yeah, of course, appreciate you being here. If you guys haven't already, like the video, it really helps. I'm getting better with just saying that instead of being like, oh, it's so cringe. I'm like, this is your art business. You can ask people to like your stuff if they like it. I have a streamer that I follow, and whenever he says like, hey guys, you know, interact with the stream, that's the only thing that makes me interact with the stream. I never do it on my own because I just don't even think about it. So seeing another artist do it, I realize I'm like, this really isn't a big deal. It can be if you're super tacky about it, but just don't be tacky. I hope you guys have a really good rest of your Thursday. This is a really nice, quick stream. Yesterday, took it out of me. I was tired all day. But I was kind of just woke up tired yesterday as well. I'm really excited for tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll be sculpting a necrotic ghost. It's based off of a scary story that was then illustrated by Stephen Gremmel, I believe. He's done a bunch of horror illustrations. And so I'll be making a 3D interpretation of that. Again, ghosts are already dead, so I don't know. I'll figure it out tomorrow. K9 says, I'm working on a stylized GPU in ZBrush. Pretty fun, challenging, doing a hard surface piece in here. Are you using the ZModeler brush? That is excellent and made for, you're probably using ZModeler brush. I'm trying to think if I've seen your workout already or not, K9. Goodness, I just like inhaled my coffee. I'm glad I have that mic mute button. That's exactly what it's for. I'm like, you guys don't need to listen to me inhaling my coffee. Excuse me. My God. K9 says, I'm not actually. I'm primarily using the knife and curve brush. Oh, goodness. Yeah. That's like the hardest way to do that. You can get a really cool, like, again, stylized look. I'd really recommend Z-modeling it instead. And at the end, you can increase the poly count and then go in with like all the brushes you're using now, like age polish and trim, that kind of stuff, to get that more stylized look. But creating the mesh from scratch to hard surface like that, that is punishing. That is a lot of work. Pat says, I'll see if I finish today's homework. I only had time to make 2 out of 4 models. Oh, no, you didn't have to do all of them. Let me see if my assignment was unclear, because that's on me. I always make sure that I wasn't unclear. So yeah, they're just prompts. It says, stuck on what to make. Here are some fun prompts. You did not have to do all 4. You could pick whatever you want, actually. It doesn't even have to be one of the prompts. But doing all 4 is pretty killer, and if you're having a good time with it, just keep going through them. They are fun prompts. I like it though. You work hard, I can tell. Also, I'm looking at the pictures you shared in the Discord, Monkey, of Cheesy Poof and Honey Boo Boo. Oh my God, your pets are so cute. Look at that big, gorgeous orange cat. Wow. I doubt that you're shy about me sharing pictures of your cat, so everyone will see this. Look at that cat. Beautiful. Love it. Love it a lot. And Pat says, yeah, I wanted to make the full pack. I like it. Overachiever. K9 says, yeah, I'm kind of burnt out on traditional modeling. So this is what I do for work. Oh, okay, yeah. So it's kind of breaking the mold here with some pure sculpting. I totally hear you. That's super relaxing. Sometimes I answer all questions from a point of efficiency. I don't mean to say it like it's the correct answer or anything. It's my default. I like being efficient. It brings me joy. All right, I've had enough chatting with Gal. I'm ready to go make some lunch. Thank you so much for hanging out. Reminder to like the video if you liked it. If you want to keep hanging out, subscribe. helps me out, and then you can find me in the future. If not, just memorize my schedule, which sounds like more work. I'll be back tomorrow, Friday, at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I stream for about 2 to 3 hours, so it's quite a big window. And at the end, I always share the finished model. So yeah. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. It was a lovely time. I will see most of y'all tomorrow, because I got kind of a regular crowd going on here. It's been great. Bye!